Hello and thanks for stopping by. This is The Thing for the Xbox, and I'm playing this one on an original old-school Xbox. The Thing is a survival horror game, and it was released in 2002, and it was published by Konami. There were also versions for the PS2 and Windows as well. This game is a direct sequel to the John Carpenter movie from the 80s, The Thing. You remember The Thing, right? If not, if by some stretch you haven't seen this movie, I encourage you to stop watching this video and go see that movie right away. If you're a fan of horror movies, you should see The Thing. It's amazing. It really is. Anyway, this game takes place after that movie. Right after the movie. You play a character named Blake. He's a Special Forces operator. You're dropped off at the base that was destroyed in the movie with a team of specialists, and your goal is to try and determine exactly what happened. This is a third-person game, and it handles different than modern third-person games. The biggest thing, I think, is that the analog stick doesn't control the camera view. It strafes you left and right. That kinda stinks. But this was before games started using the right analog stick to control the camera anyway, so, well, I think I gotta give this one a pass on that. One frustrating thing with this game would have to be the way it saves games. There are plenty of places to save games, that's not the problem. It's that if you die, the menu says, "Do you want to continue the level?" And of course you probably do. But when you say yes, you continue at the beginning of the level, which might not be your last saved game. A saved game could be halfway through a level. This way, it's like forcing you to start the entire level again, which is a useless concept. Does it want me to lose all that progress? I hate that. I saved the game for a reason. If you want to use the save you just had, you'll have to exit the menu and load your game. It's just annoying. As for the game itself, it has some great ideas, and I'm a fan of the story, and there's one mechanic in here that stands out for me that I really like. There is a cold meter. You're in an Arctic area, so exposure to the elements can obviously kill you. When you're out in the open, you get this blue bar that appears on the screen as you're walking around. This forces you along in the game, and it makes certain areas of the game more dangerous than they actually would be. Especially when there aren't monsters around, there's still danger. In order to manage this meter, you're going to need to stay indoors, basically. Or at least get yourself into cover for a period of time. And it sounds easy. And, of course, it is easy. Until the exact moment it isn't easy, and you're out and exposed, and you die. So, just pay attention to that meter. Blake is dropped off outside to investigate whatever accident happened. He doesn't know what it is. You're at the research station, and you're basically just walking around trying to figure out what happened. In some cases, you're going to have to repair certain junction boxes to open doors. Of course, you're going to have to find ammunition, guns, and weapons, and generally look around for information as to what happened. The start of the game is a training level, basically, and that's nice. I'm a fan of that. They build you up until things get more difficult. And if you've seen the movie, there are definite callbacks to the movie. Check out this spaceship. This is something I always thought was awesome in the movie, and they've got it in this game. That's great. Now, the story itself, it's fairly simple. The problem from the movie, it isn't killed. It has started to spread, or at least spread more than in the movie. You need to contain it. That's kind of it, and survive. So you're finding your keys, you're opening doors, and you're performing these repair tasks to get yourself past doors, just to get you deeper into the story. At first, there really aren't any adversaries, and then after a little bit, what the hell is that? They're everywhere. The funny thing is, the first time I run into these guys, they really freak me out. And then they freak me out every time after this. It's awesome. There's so many of these guys running around compared to the movie as well. The movie had a few overall, and there was a big one at the end, of course, but here, they're around every corner sometimes, and you never know when they're going to pop out. Did you see that? Going by the window. Another scare. I didn't want to see that. So monsters. The Thing, or the Things in this case. It's a biological creature that infects a host, and it will take over your body on a cellular level. At times, it can mutate into some horrible monster, usually with teeth. This is why we have guns. This infection concept also kind of leads us into the next element of the game. Since it can infect people, this kind of means that anyone that you run into in this game could be a thing, or could become a thing as you're playing the game. This means that every now and then, the companions you're working with are not who they seem to be, and they could suddenly transform. Now the small ones that are scurrying around you can kill with your basic guns, and the problem is the bigger ones you really can't. You have to shoot them until their little reticle around them becomes red. Then you have to get close enough to blast them with the flamethrower. So you're going to have to get used to switching between weapons and making sure you have enough ammunition for both. Also, when you light things on fire, if you step in the fire, you're going to burn yourself. You can hold a fire extinguisher in your left hand, so you have to get good with shooting and damaging things with a gun, getting to the stage where you can flip over to the flamethrower, torch them with the flamethrower, and then pull out your fire extinguisher, hopefully so you don't spread that fire to kill yourself. You can be juggling a lot of stuff at once, and sometimes it's really confusing. You can go into target mode with the A button. This is usually what you have to use to be any decent with the flamethrower, I think. I'm still not that good at it. Now, this movie it's based on was really a perfect horror film. It had a great cast, it had a relatively small group of people, but this game finds a way to have plenty of soldiers here, technicians walking around, which it ends up meaning that there are plenty of things to kill. Now, the NPCs, they're completely aware of these monsters, and as a result, they have a state of mind that you have to worry about. They might stop trusting you. They might start to panic outright. And in these states, they won't follow your orders. And sometimes you're going to really need their assistance. You use them to help fix machines, help heal you, stuff like that. You can help with their frame of mind in a few different ways. One of the best ways probably is to give them a gun and ammunition when they don't have any. Or maybe you could use a health pack on them, or give them a sedative. You can also use a stun gun on them. If someone's freaking out, you can stun them and they'll drop their weapon. At least this way they can't shoot you. Maybe they'll calm down. Now, this game doesn't really have any maps you have to worry about. It's really a linear experience. You are in some sort of an area and it's finite. When you do what you have to do in that area, get from point A to point B, you just get moved on to the next area. You can't run back between zones. This means if you miss something, you're unable to go back and get it. I got a flamethrower in one of the earlier zones, but then I died. When I restarted, I cleared the level without going back to get it, and I advanced to the next area without picking up the flamethrower again. But, at least here, you don't have only one place to find a weapon. So it's not like if you miss getting the shotgun early on, you can't find another. The game doesn't seem to torture you like that. Personally, I like to not miss things in games like this, so I do find myself running out in the snow a lot, on each level, just trying to find something useful. Usually, I'm hoping for more ammunition, but you will find keys out there, and that can be important. In regard to ammunition in general, there are parts of the game where ammunition is not a problem at all. But then in a 2 or 3 minute span, you're almost dry. So it goes up and down, and it kind of adds to some of the intensity of the game. This is an unnerving game for sure, and added on top of this, you have to worry about the well-being of your peers. Plus, you can accidentally shoot them. They'll yell at you if you do, and of course they don't like it. It can cause problems for you. The handling here, it does make it difficult to control at times. The firearms generally aim themselves, but when you need to use your flamethrower, you have to get close enough, press A to go into aiming mode, and then start lighting things on fire. This makes firefights really intense as you're scrambling for control. I've died plenty of times, just because I couldn't shuffle weapons properly and aim right. That's probably my biggest frustration with the game. You have to aim with the flamethrower, at least I do, because it doesn't have a very long range, which means you sometimes have to get in close with an enemy, and that doesn't always turn out very well. It's one of those games where you can see exactly what you need to do on screen, but you can't fumble the controller well enough to perform the tasks that you need to do. It can be frustrating for sure. There are some horde-like areas. I found one in a small building an hour or so into the game. It wasn't clear exactly what needed to be done, but after a few minutes it became kind of obvious. Load up on ammo, and then shoot everything that moves. Then go back into the main area, and then there are a couple of different rooms this happens in. Just make sure to shut the doors in between, in case they come back. It's important to be aware that it isn't unusual to clear an area, and then when you run back through it, you might find one or more things waiting for you. That happened to me a few times, and it wasn't something I really liked very much. These enemies freak me out every time. You need to pay attention to where you are at all times. I encourage you shutting doors when you clear rooms. Now, I beat this game when it first came out, and I remember really liking it. Playing it again now, years later, although it does handle differently than I would like, I do have to say, it is actually more scary than I remember. Maybe it's because I'm a fan of the movie, I don't know, but this one feels really intense to me. It's great. Well, that's all I have today for The Thing for the Xbox. Thank you for stopping by to take a look, and I'll catch you on another video.